Today we're going to be working on the fundamentals, and this is for someone who may be new to Kung Fu. They may have very little space in the home to work out, but they're interested in learning the basic fundamentals of Kung Fu so that when they are, or rather have the chance to learn from an actual Sifu, they know at least some fundamentals and they're familiar with some of the basic stances. So today we're gonna do this real slow. So for the first lesson, we're gonna just start with the basic opening, and then we'll do the basic fighting stance and transition from the fighting stance to several different other stances that you want to work on. So let's get started. So we begin with our feet together, hands at your side, and you're going to bring your fist all the way to your chest. I'm going to open up for 1, 2, and 3. And it's a slight pigeon toe. And you're going to just, rather than squeezing the knees together, you're going to just push your knees forward just slightly. So there's a little, it looks like your knees are going inward. And you're going to just kind of sit back. So you should feel relatively stable. If you close your eyes, you should be able to feel like, you're well balanced and grounded. Like you're not going to fall too far forward or fall over backwards or to the side, anything like that. So that's the first thing. So I'll show you from the side so you can get a sense of what your body should be doing. So we begin here, right? And we bring the arms up to the chest. Make sure you pull your elbows in. And we open up for 1, 2, and 3. And then we just squeeze the knees forward, and here's your basic stance here. Close your eyes, just check your stance. Make sure you're pretty stable, right? Now, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to transition into the fighting stance. The fighting stance, you're going to pivot your right foot at about a 90-degree angle to the, the left foot. You're going to step in, bring your toe to about the right heel, and then step out, right? And then you reposition your feet. So let's do that again. Now I want you to take note of a couple of things here. First, you're going to pivot. And here's the first. Shift your weight, bring the toe in, and step forward. And then just go ahead and reposition the feet so it's slightly angled. Now, I'll do it from the front. In fact, if you can see the line here, I'll do it all. It's a little bit off to the side. But if you can imagine, we'll use this line here. When you step forward, the main thing is to make sure your heel is lined up with the toe. And there's a technical reason for that, but we'll get into that later. So you're going to start off with your feet together, hands at your side, bring the arms up, fist just below the chest, pull the elbows in, and you're going to open up for 1, 2, and 3, and then just sink, 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 and hold that position, right? Check your balance, right? You want to make sure you have good stability. Okay, once you have that, the next thing you're going to do is we're going to step into the basic fighting stance. So we're going to pivot the right, we're going to shift the weight, bring this foot up to what is sometimes called an empty leg stance, step out, and sink the weight again, right? The weight is going to be 80-20. So the weight, 80% of the weight is going to be on the back leg, 20% on the front, which again, from this position allows you to lift, kick, sweep, or just evade anything that's incoming, right? So again, we'll do it from this angle. Hands at your side, open up, 1, 2, 3. Sink. Check your balance. Pivot. Go to your empty leg stance. Step out. Check to make sure the toe lines up with the heel. You don't want the feet to line up. This is what happens. If your feet are lined up, it's like standing on a wire. There's not much balance there. So that's why we say line your toe up with your heel, gives you a much wider base, right? So if you're facing someone, you have a lot more stability than if you were here, right? So if I do it from this direction, you'll see my base is much wider as opposed to this. Now, as simple as this scene, I see a lot of students that advance in um, the training. Let's just say they take a lot of classes. And for some reason, the footwork just completely falls apart and they forget those basic fundamentals, the 80-20, the heel toe alignment, the transition, which we're going to go into next. Okay, so let's work on the transition. So once you're in your 80-20 stance, the way to transition, right? I'll keep my hands here. We'll work on the hands later. You're going to pivot, straighten the front foot, shift the weight, bring the foot in, step out again, right? Now, if you've taken karate or something like that, you may recognize this as the crescent step because it's basically what you're doing. If we do it fast, right? And some people refer to it as the triangle step, right? So they think of like an angle. You come in and then you go back out. Okay. So again, from the fighting stance, straighten the front leg, shift the weight, come in, step back out, reposition the feet, make sure you still have that heel toe alignment, that wide base. You do the same thing here, come in and step out. And to go backwards, I see students kind of having a little trouble with this one. You just reverse it. You straighten out the back heel, you come in and you shift the weight back. You straighten out the back heel, come in, and then step back, right? Let me show you what that looks like from the side. So we're in our basic fighting stance. Pivot, you come in, step out, pivot again, step in, step out. And then to reverse, you straighten that back foot up, you come in, you go back, you come in, and come back, right? So that I always recommend to beginners to practice that at the beginning of your training as a warm up. You just go around wherever you're at. You can just do this hundreds of times till it feels normal to move. Don't worry about the hands right now. We'll get to that later because I'm going to explain some of the why the hands do what they do. Right? So our first goal is not to get hit and to make sure we're well guarded. Because once you start throwing punches and kicks, you will leave an opening. But until that time, you want to make sure that at least you're well guarded and you make your opponent work to break your defenses. So, but to be to give you a little bit of idea of that, why we do that is normally when you're transitioning, you see people, you say, well, why can't we just walk and fight like this? you know well, first there's a big opening, right? There's no real transition, especially if you're just going around like this. Just a big opening, right? What this does is it allows you to close what we call your lower gates to keep anything from coming up or being able to hit you in the lower part of your body as you transition, because usually that's where the openings are, right? A good um, martial artists realize that as soon as you move, you create. It's possible that you'll create an opening somewhere, right? But with this, with the crescent step or the triangle step, it allows you to close everything up before you move. So you can use this once you get used to doing it forward. You can practice going backwards. So I'm going to go in that direction. I want to go to the side of the person. And like I said, you want to just don't worry about the hands yet. We'll focus on that in another lesson. So I want you to just first of all just practice going. Well, we'll put our hands here. So you just practice the footwork here, and then go back. Now, I know it may seem boring to just do this, just this alone, but again, if this is your first introduction to martial arts and you're not used to the footwork and how you maneuver, which is a skill in and of itself, then I would, put some headphones on and just practice. Commit to practicing hundreds of footwork. And then when you feel like it's just second nature, which only comes when you do high reps. So that's your first lesson. Well, just to review, so we start here. We open up, right? So we did this. We sink. We would transition to our fighting stance. Pivot. Right? So from the side again, open up. You see all my weight. Most of my weight is back here. You can put a little bit of weight on the front. But after a while, you'll see that you don't have to put as much weight there. But as a general rule, we say 80-20 is pretty good. And then, of course, you can, once you feel like you've gotten the basic mechanics of that, you can just practice going around in different directions. Just imagine your opponent's, he tries to get around you, and there you have it. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, just leave those in the comments, and I'll see you for lesson 2.